Well, welcome to another episode of LorcanaChats. I am Chris, aka Questing for Lore, and with me I have one of my first repeat guests. If you have been watching the show for a while, you know that Jared was one of my first guests, or the first guest on my show. Welcome back, Jared. You want to give everybody a little bit of idea who you are?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back. We were talking off air about how this is like episode 16 for you. So 4 months of consistent podcasting is truly remarkable. And I think you'd agree that the experiences that have been opened up and the people you've been able to meet has been incredible. So anyway, as far as who I am Jared. I am one of the co-hosts of the Citizens of Lorcana podcast. My little nickname that I like to give is I'm the unofficial first fan of Lorcana. So I've been enjoying this game, devouring every bit of information that I could get since before D23 of 2022. So here we are, like a full year, 2 years after that, and
Mhm.
we're still on this train.
Yep. Yep. And it's crazy to see things just explode. I mean, even this year, and we'll get into talking a little bit about D23 this year, but just to see the game and the community and everything just explode over time is just amazing. It's so great to see all these people just really engaged in this game. And really, it seems like a lot of people are really all about sharing it and trying to grow the game and try to grow their local scene and everything. And yeah, it's really cool. I have to say this is the first like real community for a TCG that I've been involved in, and so I might be a little biased, but it's pretty cool. So
And I could go on for a long time just about how my experience at D23 was really enhanced because of the community. Like if I was there by myself doing my own thing, it would have been nowhere near as amazing as it was. I mean, if I weren't plugged into the community. So 100% agree. And I don't know what it's like for you up there in Montana, but I mean down here it's like we still have new people coming out, you know, week after week.
yep,
We have like great diversity in our player base here. People are still super excited and passionate about it. I mean, the game just seems to keep going to higher and higher levels.
yep, definitely. Yep. Well, so speaking of D23, that was kind of one of the main things that I wanted to chat with you about since you were able to make it out there this past weekend. I'd love to hear. So, as somebody who's never been to one of those events before, can you kind of tell me what kind of the general vibe was and what it was all about, like what it was from your perspective?
It was awesome. I mean, I have no other word. It was awesome. It was truly remarkable. I mean, I'd always wanted to go to a D23 type of experience. I mean, I always lived in Idaho until we moved down here, so I didn't think something like that would be possible. But living in Las Vegas, it's close enough that there's no reason for me not to go.
Mhm.
I was telling you that this was my first time going to a Disney convention like this. And it was just like a celebration of all things Disney. I mean, I think a lot of us are in this game. A lot of us, yes, a lot of us are in this game because we're Disney fans, we're Disney adults, and who happen like who happen to like to play TCGs. I mean, there are people who happen to like playing TCGs that are also playing Lorcana, but I think people who like Disney have an affinity to playing Lorcana. So to be
Mhm.
in a room, to be in a building with tens of thousands of other people who are sharing the same passion as you are, I mean, the zeitgeist of the moment was off the charts. I mean, yes, and that's not to minimize the negative, parts of the experience because there certainly were some, but I
Mhm.
mean, just being there with, like you say, the vibe, the Disney vibe, where people were just, I'm not going to say it was the happiest place on earth, but there were lots of happy people there, and
Yeah,
it was just
yeah,
like it was contagious.
yeah. I could definitely see that. Yeah. and there were no shortage of people. I saw some of the pictures that you posted on your Twitter, and yeah, there's especially the booth where there, it was just like the masses, surrounding the booth and everything. That's a lot of people. I mean,
Good.
it's cool, right? To see that much support and that many people interested in the game. But, then you kind of have the balance of, okay, well, maybe it should have been wrangled a little bit better, for people to be able to actually be a little more organized, and, not just all over the place. But
Man, that's a whole discussion. I don't know if you want to have it, but that's definitely a whole discussion there. And when I alluded to negative aspects, that is definitely the thing that stands out is once again, poor day one Lorcana convention experience. Yeah,
yeah,
specifically the line management.
yeah. Well, and I mean, honestly, the only thing they can do from here is improve, right? It's something that it's relatively easy to fix, I mean, it's a good thing to have a lot of people that are interested, then it's just a matter of like organizing all those people. And that's something that conference people are good at, right? Trying to organize people, put them into lines, put them in
Right.
areas,
Disney's experts at putting people in lines, right?
Yes. Yep.
Um, but I will say that's the one commonality between Gen Con and D23. Um, Ravensburger told both Disney and Gen Con to expect high demand for Lorcana. And they both said that the respective companies or organizations just kind of were like, whatever, dismissive. So I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and point fingers or anything, but
Yeah.
they really should have done the wristband system from day one, or they should have done the virtual queue, like a lot of the other retailers did. Either one of those options would have minimized a lot of the negative experiences that people had.
Okay. I didn't realize the virtual queue thing was something that the other ones were doing. Is it basically where you just kind of like sign up and then they say, "Hey, come back to the booth at a certain time," or how do those
Oh,
work?
let me tell you. Let me tell you. Okay, so I did not sign up for anything because this was like my first D23. I was like, I'm just gonna go experience it. I'm gonna take it all in. Um, but when I got there, they had like the main show floor,
Mhm.
but then they had different areas where you could go. And even the shopping area, the D23 store, you had to be on the virtual queue to even get in. And so the virtual queue, you get your ticket for D23, and then a month or two later, they let you make, reservations for different experiences that you'd like to do.
Okay.
And you get to put into this lottery system, like for the panels, for the shopping experiences, for, a whole bunch of different things. And if you don't get picked, then you don't get to go. However, if you do get picked, like for the Lorcana panel that I went to, I
Hmm.
was somebody in the community. Shout out to Connor, aka Ixia. He got +7 to invite to the Lorcana panel. And I
Oh,
was number
okay.
7 of 7. So
There you
that's
go.
how I was able to sneak into that panel. But that's
Nice.
that's kind of how they work it. If they had a queue like that for Ravensburger, like, yeah, people would miss out on it, but if they had like a +5 system like they did, +7, you'd be able to find a way to get in there if you were
Yep.
looking hard enough.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't
It
realize
is
that they had
interesting.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I thought it was just, and from an outsider's perspective, I thought it was just like, you check the boxes on, hey, I want to go to the Lorcana panel. I want to go, see something about Star Wars, whatever it is. And then it's just like random selection. I thought that
Yeah.
that was how it worked essentially, but sounds like there's a little bit more to it than that, which is good, because then you actually get people that really want to come in and really actually see the stuff, versus like, oh well, this could be cool. I'm just gonna kind of hang out and
Well, that's essentially what it is, but you get to bring your homies with you too.
right, right, yeah, definitely. Well, that's awesome that you got to get in there and get in on the panel. So before we get into that stuff too much, was there anything else that you got to experience while you were there that you thought was really, really cool or really interesting?
Oh my gosh, so much. So I mean, obviously lining up in the hall to get in with
Hmm.
that massive humanity. I mean, just the anticipation was in the air. It was supposed to open up at 9 a.m. and they opened up the curtain like 2 feet, and then it just stayed there for like 12 minutes. We're like, I can see it's open. Why aren't you
Uh-huh.
letting us in? So
Yeah.
like everybody's chomping at the bit. And then there was the race to the booth. And then, the whole line thing. But yeah, so they had a lot of like walk-in experiences. Like Hulu had Only Murders in the Building where you could go in and do like a mini
Right.
crime scene. And Fox had an Avatar like booth where you could walk through, and it was pretty big,
Hmm.
and you got to see like different creatures, and they were like pumping in the smells of Avatar. I remember one lady's like, "Wow, that's a really nice smell," and the worker who was there was like, "That's what it smells like on Pandora." It's like, okay, you're in role.
All right. Okay.
And so they had a bunch of walking experiences like that. And then they did have booths, like Target had a booth there, and they gave everybody like this little token, and you could put it in this machine that's like a slot machine at Las Vegas, and it would vind out a like a pin.
Hmm.
And they had a different one each day. So, and then they had like Disney Cruise Line, Epic Mickey, like just all these cool booths that you could see outside in front. They had the fountain with the big, Sorcerer Mickey hat out in
Right.
front.
Right.
Um, I guess I'll just talk about this right now since, I mean, it wasn't really part of D23, but after all this stuff on Friday, like after the convention had closed down,
Hmm.
James and I, along with Rebecca from the Great Illuminary, or Rebecca Quest now, hosted a get together. And it was the coolest thing because Shane and Ryan and Steve and Rochelle and like a whole bunch of people from Ravensburger showed up. And Steve and Ryan brought down like 4 boxes of packs, and they opened up, and we just played
Nice.
Pack Rush, and we played Team Pack Rush, and like it was so cool, and we're so grateful that Rebecca joined us in hosting this, because she's truly a wonderful person, and she is a draw, probably, I mean, a bigger draw than James and I. So thank you, Rebecca, and thank you for everybody who came. Thanks, everybody from Ravensburger, because that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, I saw some pictures from that and saw you guys talking about it. And I mean, it's really cool that, it just kind of sprung up. It wasn't like Ravensburger was like, okay, let's officially meet, content creators or, anything like that. It was just kind of a, hey, let's get together, let's hang out, let's play a little bit, you know.
And
Um,
that's at the end of the day, especially Steve, but also
mhm.
Ryan, and they just want to play the game. Like
Yeah,
Steve is
yeah,
so desperate to just play the game with anybody and everybody who's willing to play. And I love that.
yeah. Well, and I think it was Steve that in Atlanta was just like sitting down. Like people would be sitting at the tables waiting for the next event or something and just sit down and start playing the pack rush. It's like, here, let's try this out, see how this goes. And
Yeah.
it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna stay off and I'm gonna stay, away from the chaos over here. But
Yeah.
it really is cool to see them, so invested. And I mean, obviously they're invested in the game, but to see them, really invested in the community, I guess, is a whole
Well,
different story. So,
yeah, and it's not just a job for them. Like
right.
they're as passionate about it as we are, and it is a job for them. So they obviously have a vested interest, but like they're as excited to play it as we are. And so, I mean, in a way, they're like, I know they're not one of us, but they are one of us because
Hmm.
of the
Oh
game.
yeah. Yeah, and definitely. And to be able to see them, everywhere, right? It's not just like, oh, random sightings of Steve, in across the room at an event or something. It's like, no, right there in the thick of it. They're all right there. Rochelle is right there talking to everybody and really, really being involved in the community. And it's so awesome to see a company that is so invested, that way, that it's not just like, oh, we're putting out this game and, we're this kind of faceless company behind it all. It's like they really bring that human aspect to Ravensburger and to the game so that it makes that, it bridges that gap, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I hope that that kind of thing, maybe it'll become a yearly tradition at D23. You'll have some Lorcana folks meeting up and
Well, D23 only happens every 2 years, but
yeah.
yes.
Oh, well, okay. Yes, you're right. I'm showing my inexperience here. Yep. There's definitely some things that I'm forgetting about it, but so a regular occurrence then, maybe not a
Yeah, yeah,
favorite,
there we
but
go. There we go.
yes, yep. No, that would be really cool, to have it in, ideally it would be nice if it stayed informal, people just kind of showing up and hanging out and talking, enjoying playing together and you know that now they didn't have any like actual like events kind of thing. Like I know they had like learn to play and stuff like that, right?
No. Mm-mm. This is strictly convention format and not
Okay.
like a competition format.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I figured it wasn't any kind of competition stuff, but I didn't know if they had any, show up and play kind of stuff arranged or anything like that. But that would be kind of cool. But little
Yeah, it
side
would.
events, I
Yeah, it would.
guess. But so there were tons of things that were revealed at the Lorcana panel that you got to sit in on. So out of the things that were revealed, what was probably the thing that really stood out to you the most?
I mean, the obvious one is Pixar, but I have to say, I have to go with my 90s child heart and say Rescue Rangers, set
Okay.
six, let's
Yep.
go. I cannot wait to have Chip and Dale and Gadget and Monterey Jack, and I forget the little fly's name, and Fat Cat and all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
all these Rescue Ranger characters. I can't wait to have them in the game. I'm so excited. Like as excited as people were for DuckTales, that's how I feel about Rescue Rangers. Let's go.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to they showed off some of the what was it for set six, some of the pirate stuff that they had, some of those
Yep.
characters, the Ruby Emerald stuff that was out there. I'm wondering how much more of that we're gonna actually get in the next set, or if that's just gonna kind of be a subset of it, or I because they said that wasn't it like water themed, or I
Yeah.
kind of forget.
Yep.
Yeah.
You are right. So then that makes me wonder if I remembered the whole Rescue Ranger thing correctly, because I'm pretty sure they said Rescue Rangers were coming in set six, but they
Yeah,
very
I thought so.
specifically said the water theme was set six as well. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get both. There's room enough for
Yeah.
both.
Oh yeah, yeah, 200 plus cards. I mean, there's definitely room for more than one kind of theme. I mean, look at like Shimmering Skies. It's pretty like open. Like everybody's having a party. It's like, okay, cool. But then you have these different like, subsets of cards,
Yeah.
inside of that. So I could definitely see it.
Same,
No.
same. Super excited.
No. So as far as Pixar, is there anything in particular that you are looking forward to from that side?
Again, I'm not going deep cut here. I'm going with Toy Story. That's what, made me fall
Nice.
in love with Pixar in the first place. Woody, Buzz, Ham, Rex, all the characters. I cannot wait. I mean, yeah, I can't wait for Up and Brave and
Hmm.
Wally and Cars. Like, there's so many good Pixar movies, but I really hope and expect, really, that we'll see a lot of Toy Story cards first when Pixar is included.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that because they're on what are they on the fifth movie now or something?
Yeah,
It's been
yeah.
it's been going
I-
forever.
okay, I love Toy Story, but they should have wrapped it up with number three, and they really should have wrapped it up with
Yeah,
number four
yeah,
because that was a
yeah.
good ending, and I just hate that our characters don't get a ride off into the sunset.
I know. Well, I don't know. I
I'm sure it'll be a good
I don't.
movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they're all good, right? Some of them are better than others, obviously, but yeah, I just, with how popular that franchise has been, I would not expect anything different. I would, figure that the very first Pixar set is going to be something with Toy Story. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm holding out for the Wally cards. I'm a big Wally fan, so we'll see when we get those. I'm hoping, maybe in the future a set will be more space kind of themed.
Oh
So
yeah, there you go.
that'd be kind of cool, little
What's
something
the
something
song in
different.
Wally? The
Which one?
the one that Wally likes, the old timey
Oh,
one.
the dancing. Oh God, I can't think of the actual name of it. The one that's from like Broadway, some Broadway show, or I
Yeah.
can't remember what it
What do you
is.
think what do you think that song would do?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's very happy and upbeat, so it would probably be something good, maybe something in Amber. Um, I don't know. Although with it being a song and in the movie it's like a group that's kind of singing it. So maybe it's something along the sing together lines, like
There you
make
go.
it a little bit cheaper or I don't know. I You're putting me on the spot here. I
So many
don't know offhand.
possibilities. Sorry,
Oh
this
my
is your
gosh.
show, not mine.
Mm. No, no, no. No. I and that's one of the things that's really fun to think about, in the future, looking at these different movies and these different shows and stuff and seeing, the songs and the different characters and everything, trying to think about how they would fit into the game. Would they be a support character? Would they be, bodyguard, or, what would they have? They've done such a great job of meshing the characters with the attributes for them. Some
Yeah.
of them are pretty obvious, like Pegasus. Okay, yeah, evasive makes sense, right? But then there's some other ones, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that attribute makes sense for that character. I never really thought about it in the context of Lorcana, but it makes sense.
Radigan is always going to have evasive, I'm convinced. And Namara will always be uninkable. Something about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see, what else did they announce? Oh, the fan events. Did they? I caught a little bit of that. What was the full context around that?
I wish they had gone into more depth about the fan events. They are going to be called Disney Lorcana Quest
Mhm.
because a character in Lorcana can challenge or they can quest. So the
Right.
challenges are the competitive side, and the quest are the fan-based events. And it was a little confusing for me too because the one thing that they brought out were these signable, autographable cards
Hmm.
that people can take to the Disney parks and have characters sign them. Like that was going to be an example of a quest. So I'm like, my first thought was,
Hmm.
so are quests going to be like different things that people can do in their own time? But then when I was talking to Rochelle about it later, just to clarify, she's like, no, they're going to be actual conventions where we get together and there's going to be events and stuff. So it's just not going to
Hmm.
focus on the competitive side. It's going to focus more on the social side of Lorcana.
Okay. All
But I
right.
mean, that's basically all that we learned.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I wonder if they kind of left it vague on purpose, to be able to say, well, we want this kind of thing to be happening and we're thinking about these kinds of things. We just don't know what they are yet exactly.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm sure that's what it is.
Oh
Like they're just
yeah.
not ready to reveal, all the details yet,
Yep.
for sure.
Yep.
But I'm excited. I mean, this is something that I've been hoping for ever since they said that come January, we're going to talk about, the competitive Lorcana circuit and fan experiences. And here we are in August, and we finally got our first glimpse at what a fan experience is going to look like. And I'm not upset because Lorcana's only been around for a year. Getting the competitive circuit going, I'm sure, is their top priority.
Oh
And
yeah.
now that it's up and going, to see them, putting some TLC into the social side of the game, I think is a big positive.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'll be really interested to see, where they go with it. I mean, just because of how the game is, and the playing field is just kind of wide open at this point. There's so many different possibilities of what they could do with these events. Especially tailoring
Pack
them
Rush
towards,
Royale.
yeah, yeah, there you go. That could be pretty fun. No, but there's just so many different things, that they could do with them, and Ravensburger being so involved in the community, it's great to know that they're not just going to make these events and these things happen and just assume that they're going to work. That they're going to try something and then say, "Hey, what do you guys think of it?" try something else. What do you guys think?
Yep.
That kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean it's so great to have them there and to have them interacting so closely with the community overall. So,
Absolutely.
you know. So they also announced some of the championship events. They talked about continentals and worlds, right?
Yeah, I think as a surprise to no one, Continentals are being held at Disneyland and Paris Disneyland, and Worlds is going to be held at Disney World, and the promo is going to be a whole new world. So lots of worlds there. I
Big
think it's
shock.
great. I think it's fantastic. I'm curious to know if they're going to hold them on property, like if
Mm.
they have a space big enough or something like that, or if they'll rent a room out at the Anaheim Convention Center or the equivalent in Orlando or Paris. So all of that I'm super curious about. I'm I would love to go. I'd love to go as a competitor, but I'd love
Yeah.
to go regardless.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool to see, if nothing else, just to be able to attend and, see the event. And I'm sure they'll have, side events and other stuff going on as well.
Oh, they
But
have to because
yeah.
Worlds is only going to be for what? I think like 64 people, if I've been hearing
Hmm.
correctly.
Hmm.
So to justify an event at Disney World, they're going to have side events.
Yeah. 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 That would be really cool. I might have to start making plans. Hmm. Did they
There
actually
you go.
announce dates? I kind of forget.
No, no, they did not.
Okay. I didn't think so. Yeah. No.
I mean, the
TBD.
last DLC is in September, at least in North America, or sorry, October,
Hmm.
and that's in Seattle. I don't know about
Yep.
Europe, so could it be that it would be November and December? I don't know. That's holiday time. Maybe they put it off to January,
Yeah.
February.
I could see him putting it off a little bit, maybe. It seems like the high traffic holiday time in the parks would be a little bit of a, deal breaker, but I don't know. I mean, this is Disney we're talking about, so they've got a lot of a lot of resources to work with. But
Yeah,
oh, well, that'll be cool. I'll be interested to see how all that kind of stuff turns out. I, did you end up going to Vegas? I kind of forget.
I did. I did.
Okay.
Are you?
I went to Atlanta,
Okay,
and then I'm probably gonna try to make it to Seattle. So
sure.
unfortunately, probably not anything in between. But um, being my general location, Seattle's a lot closer. So it's a little bit easier of a kind of kind of thing to make. So
I'm just saying Vegas is probably cheaper to fly to. I'm just
it
saying.
probably is. It probably is. Yep. And my partner's like, oh, well, you've never been to Vegas before. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, you
But,
should listen.
yeah, yeah.
Just teasing. Well, make sure, just like Atlanta, make sure you get on that purchase button ASAP
Oh yeah.
as soon as it
Yeah.
opens.
I think so I got on the wait list for Atlanta the first time.
Mm,
Because that was when they first like the very first one where they capped it really
yeah,
low. And so it was just ridiculous.
512.
I mean, yeah. It was sold out in like less than a second.
No,
Um,
that's what Rochelle said. She
but yeah.
said, because she was talking about it at this panel, she said Atlanta sold out in 5 seconds. And then they opened it up, to 2000, whatever, 2048. And she said
Mhm.
that sold out in 15 seconds. Like,
Oh my
just the
gosh.
demand is there for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and just seeing and not just in the US either, seeing all the European events as well, just I mean, completely full of people. It's awesome to see in a game that's roughly a year old, to see that many people really diving into it and really, getting invested in it and really enjoying it. That's what you want to see from an early community.
Yeah, they said in that presentation that there have been over 100,000 people that played Lorcana. I'm sure that's tracked through Melee. I don't know. But I mean,
Yeah,
that's a whole lot of people playing Lorcana.
that is. That is. Well, and it's great that they've not neglected the locals level and everything, but they make sure that everything's taken care of with the set championships and thankfully they worked out all the issues with having cards out there and producing enough cards and everything for people to be able to to actually get them and be able to play with them instead of being able to or being where they had to scramble and try to find them and yeah. But and I don't know, so just personal opinion, I don't know if they overprinted Ursula or or what happened, but it sure seems like there's a lot of it left out there. But maybe that's just me. It might be just my area. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. I'd rather have product out there available than not. So,
That's
and it
true.
gives people like me who didn't really buy heavy into set four at the beginning, um,
Hmm.
gives me people like me a chance to go out and snag it, and usually for really good prices too. So,
You know, speaking of snagging things, you managed to get your hands on one of the special sets.
oh, you
Yep.
mean one of these?
Yeah, there it is, right there. Nice.
I haven't opened it
Awesome.
yet because I'm one of those people where I'm like, once I open it, I can't unopen it. But I
Right.
know I'm going to eventually. I'm probably going to record a video, especially for this guy right here, Mr. Oswald.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, this box is just gorgeous. Yes, it looks like a box of European chocolates. I will give
it
you that.
does.
But I mean, it looks premier. It looks like a premium box of chocolates, okay? And like the detail, you may not be able to see, but even like in the characters, if
Hmm.
you look at it just right, you can kind of see the outline of the character and the different symbols, which is really cool. Sorry, I'm holding it upside down, so maybe that makes a
That's
difference.
right.
Um, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
just
so cool.
it's a beautifully packaged box. Beautiful cards, has that D23 stamp.
Hmm.
Got my boy Oswald and picked up a set for my son and
Nice.
yeah, and got this guy here too.
Yes, I was
Promo
gonna
Mickey.
ask. And
It's
the pin too, did you get one of the
I do. Here we are.
There it is. Nice. Now, did they I got conflicting stories about that. Did they just hand those out to people in line or how did you guys get those?
So those were gotten one of two ways. The first way is buying product. You'd go through line, scan your badge, and when they scanned your badge, if it scanned green, they gave you a promo and a pin. If it scanned red because you'd already been through during that day, they wouldn't give
Mhm.
you one. So that was way number one. And number two, they were also doing the photo op with the ink caster
Right.
and
Yep.
demo. And if you did that, they gave you a pin and a promo. So those were the two ways to get the promos.
Nice. Nice. Can I see that card again? I didn't get a good look at it before I got sidetracked there.
Here,
That's a great little Mickey there.
let me take it out of the top loaders here. It really is. It's a beautiful card. And
Oh,
honestly,
nice.
probably a little more exclusive than the D23 set since the collector set was sold around the world and this was only available at
Right.
D23. So
Ah,
if you go
okay.
on eBay, this is actually selling for more than the collector set. Funny enough.
That's not surprising, honestly. I mean, that limited amount of supply, and it is a really pretty card.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, let's see. What else did they? I'm trying to think. They announced a couple of different franchises that are coming. They said Pocahontas, Black Cauldron. You already mentioned the Chip and Dale stuff. Was there anything else? I'm trying to remember.
No, I think those were the two other ones. Yep.
Okay.
So I mean, a lot of people were wondering if Pocahontas was going to come to Lorcana
Hmm.
because of the, you know, socially awkwardness of the movie, that and Tarzan.
Right.
But here we are. We have Pocahontas. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
have hope for Tarzan, but also you hear different things. Yes, Disney doesn't own the license for Tarzan anymore, but I've heard that they retain the license to the Tarzan IP that they produced. So I mean,
Okay.
they could include their version of Tarzan, just not the Warner Brothers version of Tarzan, you know?
Yeah.
Which why would they want to? Anyway, but I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. That's way above me.
I mean, I don't want to have to deal with that kind of stuff. I just want to play fun characters, you know?
Yes. Yep. Yep. And Tarzan would have a lot of fun characters.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's just amazing when you think about it. You think about all the characters and everything that we've gotten so far. All the different movies and TV shows and everything. But there's still, it's just like barely scratched the surface of what's out there and what's possible. I mean, especially when they're starting to add in, Pixar stuff. That opens a whole nother world of different characters and everything. So
Yeah. Yeah.
they're not going to run out of anything anytime soon.
And like I understand, I see people complain all the time, why are they bringing Pixar when all the Disney characters haven't been given their due? And like, I'm sorry, every Pokemon set has a Charizard. Every Pokemon
Yeah.
set has a Pikachu because that's what people buy. People aren't buying Lorcana for Thaddeus E. Clang. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that character like Thaddeus E. Clang and even Oswald and Clarabelle.
Hmm.
Like I love the fact that they're in there, but I also don't expect them to be the star of the show either.
Yep.
Oswald might be, but I mean Thaddeus E. Clang and the Royal Guardsman that got turned into a cow from Emperor's New Groove.
Oh
I
my
don't
gosh, I
expect them to
still
be
love
the
that.
I don't expect them to be the main players of the game, you know, but I love that they're in there. And the
Yep.
longer Lorcana goes on, the more, things like mouse armor. I mean, okay, if you want to talk about obscure things in Lorcana, how much more obscure does it get than that? So they are
Hmm.
throwing some bones to the obscure things, but they have to include the Mickeys and the Minnies and the Simbas and the Elsas, because quite frankly, they have a fan base that people are going to buy it.
Yep. Yep, definitely. And I think, let's see, I know there's Mickey's and Minnie's and Donald's and everything in every set so far. Trying to think of what else. Seems like Maleficent has been in every set.
Hey, hey,
Snow White, hey hey, yes, hey hey. I think we've gotten Moana in every set too, haven't we? I don't remember if she was in. I don't think she was in first chapter. I kind of forget. But
she was in the first chapter because
oh, was
she
she?
was the one where if you played her, she could banish Taka.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah. So I have to, my knowledge of first chapter is more limited than others or than the other sets because I came in during Floodborne.
Oh,
And so
okay, I
some of the
got you.
first chapter cards I haven't actually played before, and so it's still a
Get out of
little
here,
fuzzy.
you new age Lorcana
Yeah,
fan. Get out of
I
here.
know. Yeah. Hey, everybody starts somewhere, right?
And then the Black
So,
Cauldron. I mean, that's one that I've watched. I mean, it's one
mhm.
that I enjoyed. Again, this is another one that's a deep cut. Like, it
Yep.
is a cult classic. A lot of people don't care for it. Some people are obsessed with it. But I mean, the fact that they're bringing it into the game, I think it's awesome. Like, I guarantee you there are going to be a lot of people watching the Black Cauldron because they have no idea where these cards are from. I guarantee it.
Yep. Oh yeah. Well, and even I was watching the Illumineers earlier, and they had Lorcana Villain and Bennett on, and both of them were like, "Yeah, I've never really seen that movie before." It's like I've heard of it, but and that's also one of the cool things about the game is sometimes you get cards and you're like, "Wait, what is this from?" And it's either, "Oh, I haven't seen that in forever," or,
Yep.
"Oh, I've never seen that. I'm gonna go watch it." And I
Sergeant Tibbs.
think I yeah, right? Um, I want to say probably the first 6 months or so that I really started getting into Lorcana was like a movie marathon. I was like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, I have to go back and watch this. I have to watch this one. And there were some in there that I hadn't seen. I am not ashamed to say that before I really started getting into Lorcana, I had never seen Treasure Planet before. And so
Yeah.
I know that's a sin to like some people, but
That's okay.
yeah,
They're cult classics for a reason. They're
yeah,
underappreciated classics. So
yep. They are. I mean, there's so many good movies, and so many of them end up flying under the radar, and they just don't do very good in theaters, and so you don't hear a lot about them. But having something like this where it's the perfect opportunity to go and revisit all this stuff. Maybe like I said, maybe you haven't seen it in a while, or maybe you've never seen it before. It's perfect to be able to say, I enjoy playing with these cards. Now I want to go find out, the story behind all this. It's like, well, what
Yep.
does this
Yep.
flavor text actually mean? I don't understand what this means without the context of the movie or the show or whatever. Oh. No, it's very cool. I'm loving seeing how this stuff progresses, and we always get the excitement of the new set release, and then all the excitement of, okay, now what is the meta going to shape up like? What's going to pull ahead? Everybody's talking about these outstanding cards still, and but it's a whole different kind of story without a certain online client to be able to rapidly test things. The meta, I think, for this set is going to be shaping up quite a bit differently than some of the previous sets before, which is good, right? You don't want it to be um too
Homogenous.
homogenous. Yes, there you go. Perfect. Hey, great minds, right? Um, yeah, I mean, it was one thing whenever all that was around, it was like, okay, there is the meta, right? And everybody kind of prescribed the same kind of stuff. They said, oh, these are the outstanding decks, and because you can play them whenever you wanted to, everybody played them, and that was just like the dominant thing. But now having it to where, the different local areas, and even I know there's here we only have one game store, but in a town a couple of hours away, they have like three or four. And even the meta between the different stores is different. It's really kind of cool to see it kind of evolve, and it's all based on who's playing, and you'll get some players that play at
I love it.
multiple,
I
and
love
it's
that.
just, yeah, it's going to be so cool to see some of the DLC events. I mean, obviously people are going to be sharing decks, and that I don't think that's ever going to stop, but it's not going to be where they're so predominantly shared that people are like constantly training with the same decks, and so you show up and everybody's playing a Bucky deck, or not anymore, but everybody's playing all the same kind of stuff. You'll get some of those weird decks that just kind of pop out of nowhere, and we've seen some of those in the DLCs before that have done really, really well. And it's just this super off meta, random deck that somebody put together, and they know how to play really, really well.
That DLC Bologna Ruby Sapphire deck that won it with the items,
Hmm.
that was a pure joy to watch because it was so random, off the wall, and the way it completely dominated its matches. I mean, the championship was just is so fun to watch.
Hmm.
But I mean, the matches prior, I can't remember. He was playing against. I think of the I can't remember which deck he was playing against, but every single thing that this player would play, he had an answer for. He'd
Yeah,
play down a card, he'd ice block it, so the card only had one willpower, and then he'd play a CC and get rid of it. Like everything, it was a beauty to
yeah,
behold, and I can't wait to see more decks like that.
yep, definitely. Well, and as we get more and more cards, you're going to have more and more diverse decks. There's always going to be a push to use the new stuff, right? But there's so many like really super solid cards in the previous sets that there's already so much to pull from. I mean, even just with five sets in, there's there's already a ton of cards. And I have the utmost respect for people that can sit down, look at cards for a new set, and say, "Oh yeah, I can pull in these five cards from set one and these from set two," and it blows my mind to see people that have that kind of knowledge just sitting in their minds.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed. I wish I was one of them.
I know, me too. I really do. Yeah, and I talked with Teddy last for my last episode, and we talked to him about deck building, and kind of ways to get started with it, and ways to think about building out the different structure of the different types of decks and everything. um and some of that stuff, I mean, it makes sense when somebody kind of walks you through it, but when you're sitting down with 800 cards or however many we have now, I don't know how many we have, and you're just
Over a
like,
thousand.
oh, is it now? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
with 5 sets, 200 per. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. um just to think through all the possible combinations. And I know there's ways to do it where it's like, okay, well, you only really need to think about these certain subset of cards because these are the only ones that are going to be really useful and do anything. But, and then you have people that, pull those cards out of left field. It's like you never see a card played in a DLC until this one deck comes along. And then it's like, wait, what does that card do again? I want to say that there was at least once or twice that some of the commentators were asking that question. They were like, "Wait, which one is that one again?" Yeah.
Right.
Oh, but yeah, I look forward to to where the game's going to go in the future, and I don't see any signs of it stopping. I mean, especially given the the crowds that were there at the D23 event, just the ones that were showing up, and the lines. How long did you have to wait in line for the set?
I lined up, got in the line at like, I mean, here's the thing. I went to downtown Disney at the start of the
Hmm.
day and I was in line there. Got there at 3:45 and got out of there about 7:30.
Okay.
And then luckily James, my co-host, had been he saved a spot in line for me in the convention hall, so I was able to go join him in line. So I got in line there about 8:30, and then we didn't get our product there until about 12:30. Yeah,
Oh my
so
goodness.
we definitely waited. We
Yeah.
waited.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's, I guess not great for the people that are waiting, but it's great for the game, to see that there's so many people interested and, really wanting to get in there and learn more about it, or, just enjoy it, however they want to enjoy it. Um, yeah, I have to admit, I'm pretty jealous of, of you and the folks that were able to pick up one of those sets. I was like, how can I get somebody to get me one? But then I would have felt bad for them
I
waiting in
know.
line
That's
for
why I can't
hours.
complain. I can't complain about it because there are 100,000 people around the world who were probably wishing they could be where I was at. So I'm very
Hmm.
grateful for that opportunity to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Well, it sounds like it was a pretty good experience overall. Do you think you'll go again?
I would probably go again, even if Lorcana is not there. I would
Yeah.
want to do it again and make reservations for panels and for the shopping area and just really experience it that way since I was so hyper focused on Lorcana. I think there's a whole part of the convention that I just missed. So, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I'm sure there's tons of stuff to experience there. I mean, this is Disney we're talking about. There's there's so much involved and so many, I remember I went and looked at the list of the panels and everything, and I was like, "Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool." But it's like there's only so much time in the day, right? To be able to squeeze all this stuff in. And getting into the panel and getting into the
Yep.
events is a whole different story
Yep.
too. Um, but yeah, yeah, it seems like a pretty fun time. So hopefully, hopefully they continue with the Lorcana stuff in the future. I can't imagine why they wouldn't, honestly, but um, we'll see. But, well, hey, Jared, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me again. I really enjoyed having you on again. Thanks for sharing all your experiences, all things D23. It's definitely an exciting time to see Lorcana presented on such a major scale, a big stage and everything, to even have its own, its own panel where I'm sure it was a packed house. I have no
It
doubt.
was. Yep.
Um, but yeah, thank you again for sharing all this. Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get more information about you and the podcast.
Well, again, thank you for having me on. I
Yeah.
mean, Lorcana is a beautiful community, and I mean that's what makes it great. The people, by and large, the people are nice and caring. I know there are always outliers, but both the people that play the game and the people that make the game are just genuine people, and I cannot wait to see where this goes. But again, if people want to find me, I'm mostly active on Twitter. The website formerly known as Twitter, my username is Citizens of Lorcana. Um, Honestly, if you just type in Lorcana, I'll probably pop up in the first top 10
Hmm.
tweets. I'm pretty active on there, but we also have a podcast. My co-host James Riley and our um, other co-host Adara, who joins us about once a month. We put out recordings every week, and we're coming up on like our 90th episode. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
been a really long time, but yeah, it's been a journey. So those are the two places you can really find us.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think I said this whenever I first talked to you, but I think your podcast was the very first one that I ever found and listened to when it came to Lorcana content. So thank you. I appreciate all the hard work that y'all put in on it and for, keep going after 90 episodes. I mean, that's crazy. So,
I know you sometimes wonder, you're like, I'm not getting nearly the amount of views that these other pods are getting, but it's different. It's more of like a lifestyle
yeah.
um
Yeah.
podcast, and some people really like that. And like we've had Steve Warner on our podcast. Next week, little spoiler here, teaser for you. Next week we're actually interviewing Ryan. So
Oh,
unless
nice.
plans change, um, but we should be interviewing the man himself. So,
That's
and we've
awesome.
interviewed Shane Smith, who's responsible for designing the way these cards so beautifully look.
Hmm.
And it's just been so cool. It's been like we were talking about this before. We're not getting rich off this. We're never going to get rich off this, but we do get
Yep.
paid in experiences. And really, the friends that I've made and the experiences that I've had is what makes this all worth it.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. And getting to sit down and talk with, great people like you. It's awesome.
And right back at you.
Yeah,
Heck
thank
yeah,
you.
man.
All right, well, cool. Well, thank you again so much. And see you around the community.
We'll see ya.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on today's episode. If you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe and rate or like us on your platform of choice. If you'd like to reach out to the show, you can email us at lorcanachats@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter or X at LorcanaChats, the podcast at podcast.lorcanachats.com, or just lorcanachats.com. We love feedback on the show, and let us know if there's anyone you'd like to hear from in the Lorcana community. See you next time.